Hey everybody, it's Angie and welcome to Hot and Flashy. Today I'm going to show you my favorite makeup brushes and also how I clean them. So really I should have cleaned my brushes a couple days ago, given them time to dry so I could show you nice, clean, beautiful brushes. Sadly, I mismanaged my time. I forgot to clean the brushes. So we're just going to go ahead and look at dirty brushes if that's okay with you. And then we will go ahead and clean them and I'll show you my favorite cleaning methods. So I just did a declutter here on my desk, and while I was decluttering, I also decluttered my brushes. So I have just this lovely little spinning carousel that I keep all my brushes in now. I used to have them in a couple of different things. For some of you, this may look like a lot of brushes and maybe you're looking to just pick up a basic set for a beginner, but this is like an intense number of brushes that a professional full-time makeup reviewer and YouTuber has. So the way that I kind of organize my brushes and think of makeup brushes is that I don't really like to multitask with my brushes. I like to have one brush per function, and then I know which brush I'm reaching for every single day to do that function. So for example, this is a really easy one to illustrate. Can you guess what this brush is for? That's right, it's for blush. You can see the blush on the end of the brush there. So this is the IT Cosmetics 227 Flawless Blush Brush. As you can see, it's got a domed, tapered head, and you can't feel it, but it's nice and soft and fluffy. And I like to use this the long way and start up high in my hairline and just pounce my blush on, bringing it forward. Then I turn it to the wide way and I bring it back. So I get a more concentrated line of blush kind of at the high point of my cheek. And then with this kind of brush, I can also kind of wiggle it back and forth to diffuse out the edges and blend it in at the edges. So anyway, this is just the blush brush that works best for me. It's been my favorite for quite a while, and I absolutely love that guy. So let's move on to my favorite bronzer brush. It is the BK Beauty 102 brush. This is the big daddy of the BK brushes. This is a whopper of a brush head. Just to compare it to the blush brush, you can see how much smaller this is. This is way bigger. The reason I like a large brush for my bronzer is that I like it to be nice and diffused when it goes on as well. So the way I use this is I dip it into the product and then I pull my hair up and I use it way almost up into my hairline so that the edge hairs that are a little bit more diffused aren't making so much contact with my skin. And I come at it from an angle like this, so it looks a lot more natural. And then when I want to use it to carve out my cheekbones, it's way too big and fluffy to just blob it in there because I would end up with contour from here halfway down to my jaw. So in order to use the same brush and save myself a little money, I just pinch this together. And now I've got a nice skinny brush to do more of a precise contour. So I again start at the back by my hairline and just bring that forward. I just pinch it again to do the contour down the side of my nose, a little bit under, and then I can unpinch it to do my jaw contour because it's nice and big and fluffy. In order to hide your sagging jaw there, you want darkness under, but you also want a little bit up here where your jaw dips down because that's what's going to disguise that and make it recede. So that's my favorite brush for contouring and for bronzing. If you're interested in purchasing any of the BK Beauty brushes that I'm showing in this video, I do have a 10% off code with BK Beauty. It's Angie10. You can use that at checkout for 10% off your order. Then my favorite for highlighter is this MAC 141S. I like a fan brush for my highlighter. You want your highlighter to really just be at the top of your cheekbone, so you need a brush that's not going to put highlighter all over your face. So, I'll just run that into the highlighter, pick up a little of that, and then starting at the top of my cheekbone, just run that down the cheekbone, kind of the same way as the blush, and then I turn it at the front, and I give it a little round pop at the front of my cheek, and that really helps to make the front of the cheek pop and look a little bit more plump and youthful. So each brush in my collection has one purpose, so then I'll use it for highlighting, say, above the brow or on my nose or on my chin. So until recently, I was never able to recommend a foundation brush. I had never met a foundation brush that I liked at all until my friend Lisa J over at Lisa J Makeup and BK Beauty came out with the BK Beauty 101 brush. This was love at first sight for me. This is like a holy grail foundation brush. I barely use a sponge anymore. Sponge was like the thing that made my makeup go on well. Always hated brushes. This one has replaced a sponge for me. And it's just something about this shape, the denseness, the softness. It never leaves a streak or a mark in your makeup. It doesn't put it on too heavy. And the way I like to use it is rather than dragging it, I kind of just like to use it almost as a sponge and just do like a stippling effect with it. And it always comes out so perfectly blended and looking so fantastic. So that is my #1 favorite foundation brush, the only foundation brush really for me. So that brush is for liquid foundation. Now for powder foundation is also a BK Beauty brush. It is the BK 106 brush. I really had been going away from powder foundation because I didn't have a brush that I really loved how it applied it. And then I started using this one and oh man, am I starting to love powder foundation again. This is so nice and soft that it just like smooths everything over so nicely. It really is just the most wonderful brush. That's what I love most about Lisa's brushes is that the fibers and the brush hairs are just so soft and so comfortable to use. And then my last favorite face brush is the dedicated brush that I use for putting on my setting powder. I think the reason that I love this one so much for the under eyes is that it's not too round on the top. It's got a dome, but the dome is almost like pointed, and so it just fits so perfectly right into that area. I've used bigger brushes, I've used smaller brushes. This one is just the perfect size, and again, nice soft bristles on this one. It's just a great little brush for very short money. All right, so let's move on to eyeshadow brushes. So if you wanted to purchase a set of eyeshadow brushes, the set that I am really recommending is the Wayne Goss Basic Eyeshadow set. I'm not sure if that's what it's called, but anyway, it's this one with the 5 brushes. It is a little bit spendy, but if you are just going to buy one set of brushes and you want them to last and be perfect and wonderful and be everything you need, then I think this is going to be the set for you. I prefer smaller brushes than the average. I think a lot of the eyeshadow brushes are just too big. They spread your eyeshadow too far. You end up with like too much, too dark, too smoky. You can use as much color or as much darkness as you want, but I think it's really important to keep it like close and very controlled where you're putting it, like either really deep in the crease or whatever. So because these are almost scaled down from most brushes, you know, the heads are a lot smaller than most brushes. They really work well for older lids or smaller lids. And these are also sold separately, so if you're looking to just pick and choose, they're a pretty good price point when sold separately, but obviously it's better as a set. So this one, the number 18, is the one that I would use for packing on eyeshadow on the lid. I kind of do the same thing with my eyeshadows as I do with my face brushes, which is that I only use one brush for a specific level of color or a specific task. For example, this is my IT Cosmetics 112 all over lid shader. So this is the brush that I use only in the lightest shade in the palette. So let me just show you the eyeshadow palette that I use today. I use the Tarte Clay Play Volume 2 palette. It's a gorgeous palette. So I will only use this in the lightest shade in the palette. So it would be like this shade or this shade, okay? And basically where that shade always goes is at my inner corner right here. You can see these are slightly different shapes. The Wayne Goss has a little bit more of a taper towards the point, and the IT Cosmetics one is a little bit flatter. If I had to choose just one, I would choose the IT Cosmetics, but if you were going to buy the set of Wayne brushes and nothing else, then this is the one that you would use for that lightest shade to pack it on the movable part of the lid. The second shade that I go in with is one that's like just a half a shade to one shade darker than my actual skin tone. So going back to the palette, the shade that I would use next would be this guy over here, or maybe this one up here. And my favorite brush currently for that shade is the BK Beauty 202 brush. In the Wayne Goss set, this would be comparable to the number 17 brush. So you can see how similar these are in shape and size. And what I like about these is that they're both so soft and fluffy, but they're both a little bit tapered and almost pointed at the end, so that you can get your color really deep in the crease, but then the brush almost does the blending for you. Here is the MAC 221, which has been a long time favorite, and the comparable one from the Wayne Goss set is the number 19 brush. So you can see that the heads on these are very similar to each other, very comparable. So the shades in the palette that I would use with this brush are the darker midtones, so something like this, or even the bronzer. And I would just pick up a little color on that, again, put it deep into the crease. The Wayne Goss is a little bit more compact, so if you have smaller eyes or you like to keep your makeup just that much tighter and more controlled, I would go with the Wayne Goss over the MAC 221. Okay, so then the next brush that I will use is to blend things out. So my favorite blending brush currently is my Morphe M330. So I used to use something that was bigger and a lot less tapered at the end, but I'm finding that I like this tapered brush a lot better. And so I just use this to blend out all the colors. So this is one that I never dip into an eyeshadow. I always keep it clean because I don't want to be blending and bring in a color from an eyeshadow that I used a couple days ago, right? A couple of alternatives for this. If you get the Wayne Goss brush set, then the blending brush from that will be the number 16. There's also the e.l.f. Fluffy Eye Blender brush. These are three really great brushes for blending. You can see the differences between them. And then of course you might need just a smaller brush if you want to go in with a really dark color, or you want to do a little detailed work, say under your eyes or deep in the crease. There's the Wayne Goss number 20 brush for that. Another one that I love for that is the Sigma Shader Crease number E47. So this one is the Sigma brush, this one is the Wayne Goss. Let's say if you wanted to do a really dark smoky eye and you were going to do a dark gray or a dark brown or a dark black, this is the brush you would use because they're very, very petite and you'll get much less color and be able to control where you're putting it. All right, so those are my favorite brushes. Now let's get them cleaned. They are so dirty. They really need a good cleaning. For cleaning my brushes, I actually have a new brush cleaning gadget that I am so in love with. I was sent this in PR. And I showed it to you guys at Christmas time, made a great Christmas gift. This is from my friends at Towel Clean. You know, I use their Aura Orbital face scrubber brush every single day. And so when they came out with this brush cleaner, they asked me if I was interested in trying it. I said yes. If you are a makeup aficionado and you have a ton of brushes to clean, this will be the thing that like saves your hands and makes you want to clean your brushes more often, because this makes it so much easier. And I do have a discount code for 62% off. That is HotandFlashy. It normally retails for $149, so that's like a $92 discount on it. It also does come with these little shampoo pods, which are going to last you for quite a while because I can wash all my brushes using just one of these pods. Let me bring you out to my kitchen and I'll show you how this works and how easy it is and how it turns your brush cleaning from a chore into an actual pleasure. Hi you guys. Okay, let's go ahead and wash some brushes. I already have water in here up to the fill line. I'm just going to put in a little pod and it's going to dissolve while we load brushes into the brush caddy. So this piece comes apart and pull this guy out, and then this is the little seat belt for all the brushes. Now you can't wash 6 eyeshadow brushes at once. You have to have a mix of face and eye because this has different sizes that it can hold. So your biggest brush goes here. So I'm going to wash my super cruddy BK 101 first. This is the one that I love the most and use every single day. So you just slide it in there. Then you just go around and keep loading brushes in. So you are kind of limited by the size on the handles of your brushes, and you know, so some of your brushes just might not work. Then I just strap on the seat belt, pop that into this part, and this is already plugged in. Then I pop this in here and we turn it on. Got a 2-minute cycle. So when you're finished washing, you just pull this whole thing out. Now, I like to take this over to the sink and rinse this off, so it's good to have an extra towel handy. Or better yet, don't be filming and just do it right next to the sink where you have the water available. Now there's a couple of different ways you can go. You can either just rinse these in the sink and call it a day and then transfer them over to your drying rack, or you can pour this water into another container, put in clear water, and run another cycle to rinse these. So that's usually what I do to make sure that they're really rinsed and super clean. Or if any of your brushes didn't come out clean enough, you can put them back in for a second wash. But these guys are super clean. Like even this foundation brush, there's no foundation left in here, so that is amazing. So I'm just going to pour this into here. Then I'm going to put clear water in here. And then I'm just going to run this for another 2-minute cycle to get them extra rinsed. All right, so now that rinse cycle is done. And see, they're all foamy again. So there was a pretty good amount of suds still left in there even after I wash them. So usually I'll do this a few times and just, you know, keep dumping out this water. And to wash my next bunch of brushes, I'll just put the dirty soapy water back in, because that can be reused to wash lots and lots of brushes and they come out really great. But in the meantime, I'm going to take these out. Let's compare a dirty one to a clean one. That is good as new. And now I just want to put it into my drying rack with the brush head facing down. Sometimes I'll reshape the heads. And that's another thing that I like a lot about the Wayne Goss brushes and the BK Beauty brushes, and also the It Cosmetics brushes. They retain their shape, and these brush trees will have different sizes of openings so that you can put different sizes of brushes in. So here's the first 14 brushes all in the brush tree, and the last 3 that wouldn't fit in there, I can just leave them right in here to dry, and that makes a nice little drying rack. All right, so that's it for today's video, everyone. I hope you found it helpful and informative. If you did, go ahead and give it a like. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel and hit the notification bell while you're down there. As always, I thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate your watching. Have a great day, and I will see you in the next video. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.